because I thought he clip chimped me. But even the clip chimp is just posting my fucking dub, baby. I mean, fine. Anyway, before we get to what's going on in northern Israel, southern Lebanon, and all that stuff, and Ben Shapiro getting very upset at me. I guess he found one thing, the clip chimp, I assume. Yeah, here it is, Ben's final solution article. How interesting that this now is, unironically, he wrote this in 2003, okay? But this is literally the official position, pretty much, of the Israeli government, the far-right coalition in the lead-up to the last bombing campaign on Gaza, and maybe even many other Israeli governments that weren't openly stating that this was their goal, but now have fully realized that this is their goal. Ben Shapiro has never been a serious person, especially as it pertains to Israel. Ben Shapiro has defended Ann Coulter when she has said incredibly anti-Semitic things, and has said exactly why he defends Ann Coulter. He defends her because she is a supporter of Israel. Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult issue. Settlements rock. A 13-year-old tweet, holy fuck. Yeah, I know. Ben nowadays is definitely not virulently anti-Islam and anti-Arab. You're right. His perspective has totally changed over the course of many years. You're right. He certainly has changed. Sad day for everybody. Oh, man, you're just simply making me agree with Ben Shapiro here because of how violent and extremist you have become is pure copium. Anyone who moves away from Palestinian emancipation and the end to the occupation and the apartheid state as it currently exists simply because they saw the BLM Chicago account post a fucking parachute photo was never in it. There are Israelis living inside of fucking Israel whose friends got killed, who have more of a fucking backbone as anti-Zionists than you do. Shut the fuck up. There are anti-Zionist, anti-apartheid Israelis right now that are screaming from the fucking rooftops about Israel's blood and soil conquest in Gaza only mere days after their friends were killed. You live in Idaho. You are a white Christian man in Idaho talking about how Palestinians deserve to be ethnically cleansed. Why? Well, because I saw the Chicago BLM account post a parachute photo. And now, not only do I hate Palestinians, I hate fucking BLM too. Well, then it seems like you were never on board. It seems like you had no interest from the jump. It seems like you only had talking points that you were holding on to as long as it was favorable for you. I am not interested in hearing optics conversations from people who keep saying, oh man, it's just, I can't find myself in agreement with saying that Palestinians deserve emancipation due to the violent backlash of being subjected to an endless apartheid regime and the violence that requires, the violence that necessitates. Okay? Yeah.
The media wants it. People on the left particularly are looking for the symmetry. Because again, all cultures are created equal. This is the premise.
Wait, what does he mean by that? Oh, cultures are unequal. He's doing. I love the guy who said, where's that fucking piece of shit earlier, who said Ben's take on Israelis like to build, Arabs like to live in sewage and bomb shit has changed. That's a 13-year-old tweet. Where's that motherfucker now? Where is that motherfucker now? He literally said, oh, these guys always think all cultures are equal. I wonder what he means about
so
this.
Much left-wing thought. A full-scale moral idiot, HasanPiker. He's an emissary of this. Yesterday, he was ranting and raving on his Twitch stream about this and suggesting, of course, why would you... that the only reason that you might murder a Jewish baby is because obviously years of victimization. That's clearly the problem. Israel's skirt was too short, you see. That's why you walk.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, Israel. I'm saying Israel was asking for it because Israel's the victim here. Israel's always the victim. Israeli citizens are a victim for sure. You know what they're a victim of? Whether they support it or whether they are against it, the fucking apartheid regime. So yes, that is true. Okay? They are a victim to their own government. That's true.
Walk into a village and you rape women and drag them back to the Gaza Strip. That's why you do this. There's a moral.
The only thing that I've heard from this, and I am still maintaining the position that this could very well be a reality. The only thing that has happened about the mass gang of rapists that were, running around, roaming the streets, specifically looking for gang rape opportunities, was a retraction from mainstream media outlets that covered it without actually verifying it. Now, does this matter? Well, it matters as far as trying to present this as a point of propaganda, because ultimately it's still horrifying without adding the additional Muslims are actually looking for gang rape opportunities in the streets. It's still horrifying to have hundreds of people get slaughtered. Hundreds of civilians died, okay? But that's not enough. You have to add additional shit to that. How do you verify that? Great question, my friend. There are journalists that are allowed everywhere inside of the boundaries of Israel proper, except the IDF has not really allowed local media, Israeli papers, to actually go to the places where atrocities happened. They've only allowed foreign media to go into places where atrocities happen. Now, part of that is because the Israeli media at this point, regardless of how, regardless of their position on being Zionists, are infinitely more critical of the Netanyahu government than Western media is. That's it. They only let Western media in, and then they let in local reporters after Western media has done a full-scale propaganda push, okay? That's a stretch. This ain't true. No, the settlement that was slaughtered literally exclusively let in foreign press first. They did not let in local media. That is not a stretch. There are also Israeli organizations, NGOs, people dedicated to tracking and covering the ongoing catastrophe inside of Israel and outside in Gaza as well. The notion that it is impossible to get adequate coverage, the notion that you can get correct coverage, especially in Israel, is incorrect. You can get biased coverage, certainly, but there are plenty of organizations, NGOs, and press that is allowed to report on everything that is going on. It is ridiculous, in my opinion, to continue with, did you say the gang rape claims have been completely refuted? The gang rape claims, in my opinion, were always a racist canard. Is there a likelihood that rape happened in the slaughter? Of course. Of course there is. It is deeply disingenuous and unserious for the media to not cover it without proof or verification and running along with it. It's like looking at Ian Miles Chong's Twitter account and then going, all right, I guess this is what we're going with. I am not saying that it's not real, but it is ridiculous to do this without due diligence. The expectation should be that there is due diligence. That is what you expect from the media. You are not a random Twitter account. I have never said that this did not happen. I never said it. Many people will try to go, oh, dude, well, look at you, denying rape, in an effort to, try to assume the moral high ground in this circumstance. I have always maintained the position that there is a likelihood that it could have happened, but simply asking the media to do exactly what the fuck they are supposed to, which is verify reports, is not a ridiculous thing to expect or demand. You are not the Rap TV account. You are not the Daily Loud account. You are fucking CNN. What the fuck are you doing? You are not Ian Miles Chong. You are the New York Times. You are CNN. You are MSNBC. You are not Dexerto. Do your fucking job. Times of Israel. With terrorist bodies still lying in the grass, international press witnesses firsthand the shocking aftermath of Hamas's slaughter of Israeli citizens. Here's the Times of Israel coverage on the matter, also showing that the Israeli government allowed only foreign press in to the massacre sites before they let literal fucking local press in. Does this not shock you? Do you not think that this is an odd thing to do? And the other part of this is, and this is important, do you mean the likelihood or possibility of rape gangs? No, of course not. Of course not. Not rape gangs, but rape happening, okay? I hate that this is something that we are covering for the third day in a row now, because two things are very frustrating about it. Whether 40 babies are lined up and decapitated by Hamas, or they were shot by Hamas, does not change, or some babies were shot by Hamas and others were adult victims, but still civilians, does not change the reality that this is a slaughter. Okay? So, getting caught up in semantics arguments is fucking idiotic in this circumstance. Yet it still does not stop people from presenting in mainstream media, presenting things in a way that is supposed to bog you down. Calling the hippie rave on the border of Gaza a peace rave does not change the reality that plenty of civilians were slaughtered in said rave. Okay? Don't get bogged down by these distinctions. Do not think that this is a victory when you recognize that these people who are reporting on the matters are incorrect. The main journalist that said the decapitated babies line said, I just want to clarify, I did not tweet 40 babies had been beheaded. I tweeted that the foreign media had been told women and children had been decapitated, but we had not been shown bodies, which was my response to the reports which had gone viral about the 40 babies. I realized the way my tweets was written was too short to explain the full context, so I deleted it. That, of course, did not stop people from going along with it. And yes, here is the IDF. IDF says it won't back up its claim that Hamas decapitated babies in Israel because it's disrespectful to the dead. But it doesn't matter because babies still died in this circumstance. Do you understand? Holy shit. Hold on. There was a tweet that I saw about this particular issue that I think was very good from an American anti-Zionist account. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. That basically said something along the lines of like having these constant back. It wasn't Eli. I think it might have been Eli. Eli Valley said some stuff too. The reason why, I know the reason why people utilize the fog of war to make an already horrifying situation worse. I know the reason why they do that. It is to move the fucking needle away. It's to shift attention away from the ongoing, catastrophic, unimaginable death and destruction being dealt in Gaza. Okay? That's it. But on the other side, if you find yourself bogged down, constantly saying these guys are lying about this, then people are going to look to you and say, well, they still died. And they are right. People are confusing the two things here. Moral distinction, clearly not. Propaganda distinction, clearly yes. The story led the front page of every tabloid in the UK and US and is used to animate calls for indiscriminate bombing. Extremely weird to act like the latter isn't what's at play here. I agree. I care about this from the aspect of propaganda. It is the classic baby incubator line in Kuwait, and that propaganda extended far beyond simply just someone reporting it and retracting it. That propaganda led to investigations, led to a false, a fake witness, and fake eyewitness testimony. But the reality is, back then, you simply needed... Here, in 1990, a Kuwaiti girl named Naira testified in Congress that she saw Iraqi troops throwing babies out of incubators. Amnesty corroborated her story. This is why I always mention, like, Amnesty in and of itself is a cutout of the American State Department. So if they are the ones saying Israel is an apartheid state, you fucking bet your ass it is undeniable. The atrocities must be unfucking deniable for NGOs like Amnesty International or NGOs like the Human Rights Watch to turn around and recognize Israel as an apartheid state. Please understand, us having this conversation does not mean that atrocities did not happen. This is not denial of atrocities. This is propaganda, how it works, why it's done, and what you should do about it, okay? Because make no mistake, if we're looking at baby murder, there is a much more effective baby murder machine on the other side if you look at simply the numbers. And that side, of course, is the Israeli apartheid state. It's not like when buildings are reduced to rubble, the babies inside don't have their heads decapitated from their bodies. They get pulverized nonetheless. They get pulverized all the same.
Fingernails and applied electric shock to sensitive private parts of his body.
"15-year-old Naira revealed the atrocity of Iraqi soldiers in Kuwait." That was a different time. America needed to do more PR and more propaganda at the time to justify its actions. Maybe they didn't even need to do so, but they did it nonetheless. Now, nowadays, it's definitely different. I do not believe that Israel even needs to beef up their argument when they engage in endless blood and soil bombing campaigns that they call mowing the lawn. They do not need approval from the international community. They get it anyway. This is the point that I need to get across. The additional seasoning added on to the already horrific violence that Israeli civilians experienced is specifically for a lot of those in the Western media to feel comfortable asking and demanding genocide, okay? And the reality is that on the one hand, atrocities did, of course, occur. Western media doesn't even need to add that additional seasoning, and they do it anyway, even though they don't need to for approval from the public.
I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators, took the incubators, and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Her testimony was the major reason for the escalation.
Desert Storm is launched. 135,000 Iraqis are killed. An estimated 1 million Iraqis, many of them children and old people, then die as a result of 10 years of sanctions.
Later,
Helen Knowlton selected her as a persuasive witness to this atrocity, and it was all part of a campaign to turn Saddam Hussein, at least in the public consciousness, into Adolf Hitler. And the feeling was that they couldn't sell the Gulf War without this.
Soon after we arrived in Kuwait, 2 weeks after the liberation, it became apparent that the story was a complete hoax. We were able to go around the hospitals to count the incubators and find that, possibly with one or two that had been misplaced, that none were missing. War very much.
yes, Central Committee is correct. Same fucking shit. If a lie is believed, sometimes only for an hour, it has accomplished its purpose and there's no further occasion for it. Exactly. You can simply discard it afterwards and maybe even apologize, and sometimes not at all. It does not fucking matter. Okay? It doesn't matter because it already spread. It's done. It's intact. The only, but make no mistake, I am not covering this to say this is a moral victory. Okay? It is not. It's not. This is simply to show you how propaganda works, how propaganda spreads, how propaganda is utilized by those very same institutions like Amnesty or even mainstream media that you are supposed to rely on for accurate coverage.
Much had to be sold to the American people in order to convince them to intervene militarily.
Instead, we're still living with the consequences of our having placed troops in Saudi Arabia, because that's what sets off bin Laden finally.
Anyway, so far on X, the unconfirmed report about 40 murdered babies at least 44 million impressions, 300K likes, over 100K reposts, retweets. The key propagators of the story were I-24 News, EN, and Israel. The story was based on a report by Nicole Zedek. The original report never claimed 40 babies were decapitated. Zedek reported that soldiers told her that up to 40 babies and children were killed and 40 babies were taken on gurneys. She also stated on X that some babies' heads had been cut off. However, those reports, which came from an IDF soldier, have in some cases morphed and gone viral. Some outlets reporting 40 babies killed or 40 babies beheaded, while some are reporting 40 babies killed, some beheaded. Neither of the 40 babies being killed and or beheaded has been independently verified. Indeed, Sky News have said that the IDF have refused to confirm the news. Meanwhile, some highly influential people are continuing to spread the news, including J.K. Rowling, Ben Shapiro being one of them. But narratives around slaughtered babies are particularly emotive and useful in propaganda and jingoism, historically from World War I to false information around the invasion of Iraq in 1990. A reminder to be careful of what you share, especially during live reporting. Regardless of how you frame this, there is clearly misleading information around two things. Ages killed, Zedek said babies and children. How they were killed, some/all beheaded. The lack or clarity and consistency, singular sourcing, is enough to indicate caution with the story. It is terrifying how quickly these things get spread and become an active part of the strategy to justify more bloodshed. It's terrifying. We saw this happen in the invasion of Ukraine on the Russian side and even on the Ukrainian side as well. This is a mainstay of warring nations, or a mainstay of conflict, except this time it's even more asymmetrical than Ukrainians justifiably trying to defend their land from Russian invasion, which I have always maintained the position is a just cause. For those of you who want to come in here and fucking, make ridiculous claims. Nuance gets lost in circumstances like this. Back in the day, a lie like this. Yeah, yesterday when chatters were linking you white phosphorus claims, you refused to give it oxygen. It's the same work and attention against bad propaganda. Exactly. Is there a likelihood that Israel has used white phosphorus in Gaza? Well, historically speaking, I believe there has been instances, so there is a likelihood. However, these claims, as it stands currently, are unverified. They are unsubstantiated. I am not going to go on videos. Stop saying there are videos. You literally have no idea what you are talking about. It could be true, but in most circumstances, before these things are verified, running along with it only causes further confusion. Especially when Israel doesn't even need to use white phosphorus to fucking destroy every single Gazan enclave. Some small arms are so powerful that they can mutilate corpses even if the killing wasn't intentional. It was a firefight in this town between IDF militia against Hamas militants. We don't even know if the killing of the children was intentional or accidental. This is all propaganda designed to get us support to Israeli attacks on Gaza, which I posit is not even a necessity. Stop saying there's footage. Do you know where the footage comes from? Do you know if it's actually Gaza? Do you know if it's actually Gaza from yesterday? You don't know. These things have not been verified. That's why you need independent verification before running along with footage, okay? Same goes in either direction. I am extremely careful when covering news of this sort. This is a big part of what my job is, what I try to do as best as I can. Half the time, it's like Arma 3 footage. Sometimes it is from Ukraine. Many ongoing conflicts occur, especially at nighttime. If you look at a nighttime white phosphorus footage, it could be in Syria, it could be in Ukraine. You have no fucking clue, and you just kind of go along with it. It's also worth noting that some people are contributing to the narrative by trying to denounce it as propaganda, misrepresenting the original reporting by claiming Zedek explicitly said all 40 babies were beheaded. In terms of methods for the analytics, I downloaded all the tweets. Oh, this was a good, I think this was good analysis from 972 Mag. I'm getting a lot of questions about the reports of Hamas beheaded babies that were published after the media tour in the village. During the tour, we didn't see any evidence of this, and the army spokesperson or commanders also didn't mention any such incidents. During the tour, journalists were allowed to speak to the hundreds of soldiers on site without the supervision of the army spokesperson team. I-24 reporter said she heard it from soldiers. Soldiers I spoke to in the Kfar Aza yesterday didn't mention beheaded babies, the army spokesperson stated. We cannot confirm this at this point. We are aware of the heinous acts Hamas is capable of. This doesn't mean that war crimes were not committed. Scene in Kfar Aza was horrific, with dozens of bodies of Israelis murdered in their homes. Okay? Sadly, Israel will now use these false claims to escalate the bombing of Gaza and to justify its war crimes here. Update, this story is still unfolding and information is still coming in that needs to be verified. I will update when I have more. Do you understand this? You get it? I hope it's a little bit more illuminating when we talk about the situation, okay? I need you to understand my goal is to parse through information and misinformation. So much misinformation is spreading right now. And the worst part about it isn't necessarily that misinformation spreads online. Of course, misinformation is going to spread online. The worst part about it is American media has dropped the ball entirely. Western media has dropped the ball entirely. They are completely oblivious or very cynically reporting on misinformation in an effort to further justify blood and fucking soil propaganda and the bombing campaign attached to it in Gaza. It is additionally ridiculous, especially because the atrocities are horrifying anyway. So what good? What good would you do in this circumstance to be like, well, some babies did die in a back and forth firefight. Many people tried to tell me, Hasan, the festival that the paratroopers landed on, there were police officers shooting back at them, and that's why people died in the crossfire. Yeah, but they still died. Do you understand? So paragliders flying into a festival with a bunch of festival attendees dying doesn't make it less bad. It's still bad. Hacking babies' heads off with a knife, beheading babies, dude. Oh my Lord, holy moly. We just went through this, my man. We just went through it. Please stop. Please get help. How would something like the usage of white phosphorus be verified, though? There are still people on the ground who can independently verify the usage of white phosphorus. There will be an assessment made later as well. Not immediately, but later as well. Unfortunately, a lot of people see this. Will see this as you being a Hamas apologist. Yes, I do not care. Okay, I do not care. I do not care if people say, Hasan, you're a Hamas apologist for this. Okay, I want the media to do its due diligence. That is insane. I have also pushed back on unverified information that is ostensibly on the Palestinian side as well. This is what I always do. Ridiculous. Hamas apologists would be nicer than what he's being called now. Yes, of course. People have no capacity to look at the situation and maybe apply their own morality or their own moral compass. So they have to fucking go for whatever piffy talking point that they can glom onto, that they can grab onto. That's it. Yeah, in the 90s and 2000s, I would have been called a Saddam supporter. I mean, in 2019, I was called a fucking Al-Qaeda supporter when I was criticizing Al-Qaeda. So what? Anyway, I can't believe we deviated so far away from Ben Shapiro and got so lost in the sauce. History will absolve me. Okay? History will absolve me. Not that it matters. I will be long gone by then. But it doesn't matter. I know what I'm doing is correct. If people do not care about the nuance of the circumstance, then there is nothing I can do about it. There is no moral victory at the end when you talk about massacres and slaughters occurring and say, well, police were shooting back during the festival, so civilians got caught in the crossfire. It still does not change the reality that plenty of civilians died. That is still horrifying. The real goal in this situation is to contextualize said violence as a violent retaliation to an ongoing occupation and apartheid. It is not simply to say that that did not happen. It is not simply to say that that violence is just and awesome. It is to analyze that violence, look at it within a framework that is accurate, look at it as a reaction to an inherently violent apartheid regime. Violence being a primary factor of the maintenance of said apartheid regime.
Moral exemplar, HasanPiker.
They didn't deserve it, you idiot. My goal is solutions. Your goal is the continuation of violence. You want way more than 260 people dying. You want every single Palestinian to be executed ruthlessly in the streets so that you can build another theme park in Gaza. You baying pig. You bloodthirsty, violent pig dog. Suck my How do you think this happens? You think it happens out of nowhere? You think these people are just like, oh, we were violent because we want to be violent? You think that's where violence culminates from? Or do you think it's because you have entrapped them, you have bullied them, you have subjugated them, you have humiliated these people? 2 million people live inside of Gaza. They're not even people in the eyes of Israel. Wait, what? That's great. Oh, I thought he clip chimped me. That's correct. Oh, the other side of the clip is me also talking about like the atrocious conditions in Gaza. I guess that part he didn't want to show to his audience. Is that what it is? Because I thought he clip chimped me. But even the clip chimp is just posting my fucking dub, baby. I mean, fine. Why didn't you show the chat log you were looking at? Why didn't you show that? Yeah.
So that's presumably, according to HasanPiker, why you would murder a baby. That's why you would murder a baby and burn an entire family.
Yeah, that's me. Okay, yeah.
In their homes, in peaceful villages. That's why you would do that. Now, I'm going to attribute this to, again, the peculiar narcissism of people like HasanPiker, who believes that everybody thinks like they do. And I would ask people like HasanPiker, okay, if that's the case, if you really believe that victimization is what causes people to murder babies in their beds for the crime of being Jewish and breathing, then what would cause you to do something like that?
Is the viral tweet he got from that all had people agreeing with you? Yeah, dude, why'd you post my dub, dog? Right after the clip, you say it's not justified? Yeah, let's see. So he cut me off right there. Okay, he cut me off right there and immediately starts talking about how I want baby murder to happen, okay, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting. Let me see what that full clip looked like, though, because that went viral on Twitter, that went viral on TikTok. Does anyone have the full clip? Can we see what I said? Can we see what the full clip was? Because there's a 2-minute. Now, I have been doing, what? At this point, 10 hours of coverage every single day on these issues. But let me fucking see what the full clip was. Do you think that this happened out of nowhere? Do you think this happened out of thin air? Are you fucking stupid? Do you think the Israeli state was just like peacefully coexisting? I'm gonna go pee. And then these guys came in with fucking gliders out of nowhere? Don't say fuck off, dude. They didn't deserve it, you fucking idiot. My goal is solutions. Your goal is the continuation of violence. You want way more than 260 people dying. You want every single Palestinian to be fucking executed ruthlessly in the streets so that you can build another fucking theme park in Gaza. You fucking baying pig. You fucking bloodthirsty, violent pig dog. Suck my dick. How do you think this happens? You think it happens out of nowhere? You think these people are just like, oh, we were violent because we want to be violent? You think that's where violence culminates from? Or do you think it's because you have entrapped them, you have bullied them, you have subjugated them, you have humiliated these fucking people? 2 million people live inside of Gaza. They're not even fucking people in the eyes of Israelis. 2 million. The average age is 18 years old. 57% unemployment. They can't even get fucking concrete inside of Gaza so they can build fucking water salination plants because 97% of their water is toxic. Why didn't he show this part, you think? Why didn't he show the rest of this? Just want to say you ratioed his ass 2 to 3 times while offline? They're dying of mass starvation. You cannot push people into a fucking corner their whole lives and not expect them to fight back at a certain point. Suck my dick. You fucking piece of shit. You and others like you who turn a blind eye to apartheid, genocide, and ethnic cleansing are the reasons as to why these people fucking fight back. So much so that you fucking cackling hyenas sit around and think, oh yeah, we're doing this in the West Bank too. That's the peaceful coexistence project. Look at the West Bank. You're doing it in the West Bank so fucking hard now that you left your ass out in the open in the southern fucking border of Israel. Think? He did edit it. He just clipped out the parts where he described Gaza's conditions. That's what I'm saying. Open air prison, apartheid and the apartheid in the West Bank. Wonder why he chose to cut those parts out. An open air prison for mostly children. Along with me. Oh, this guy has not stopped asking me, do you think South Africa's government should be supporting Palestine? It also seems like most South Africans are very pro-Palestine, probably because of our apartheid past. Yes, brother, yes. Really okay with beheading babies? This is not an argument. You are not giving me an argument, okay? Of course I'm not okay with beheading babies. What the fuck are you talking about? Why do you come in here and repeat the same talking point over and over and over and over again? Okay? Is it simply a matter of winning a conversation for you? So much so that it's just not a matter of like even security for Israeli citizens? Is that what it is? Anytime motherfuckers are like, bro, I guess you're on board with beheading babies or whatever the fuck. Anytime you come in here and say idiotic things like that, you're not winning a moral victory at all. You're just talking past me and showing every single person, at least in this fairly robust community, that at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break and you're oblivious to that. Okay? You're oblivious to that. This is also part of the reason why I don't want to talk about the narrative and whether or not it is unverified, unsubstantiated. Because when you turn around and you address a chatter saying that, they will clip you and they will use you and what you said as though you are defending it or you are saying no atrocities happened. This is a tactical reason as to why people come in here with this position. There is a reason for it. Okay? That's the entire point. And then other people who are supposedly on the radical side of politics or supposedly on the left will see you responding to that and go, oh, wow, I can't believe the left has gone so out of control. I was a dedicated Marxist my whole life. I was interested in Palestinian emancipation until I saw a 30-second clip from some random guy online, and I decided I'm dropping all of that. I no longer believe in the humanity of Palestinians. Okay? These people do not care about the dead Israeli citizens. These people do not care about the dead Palestinian citizens. They only care about winning fucking arguments. Okay?